Princess Zarathi stepped off her shuttle and looked around the research station. The metal walls were clean and bright, but the air felt heavy. She could smell fear and danger, even through the air filters. This place was not like the royal palace she called home. "Welcome to Station Kepler 442b, Your Highness," said Dr. Kethara, bowing low. The alien scientist had 4 arms and purple skin that glowed softly in the station's lights. "We are honored by your visit," the princess nodded. She wore the blue robes of the Veltar Empire and walked with the confidence of someone born to rule. Her guards followed behind her, their hands never far from their weapons. They did not like this place either. "Show me your work," the princess said. "The Emperor wants to know if your research can help our military." Dr. Kethara smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Of course, Your Highness. We study the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Come, let me show you our collection." They walked through long hallways lined with thick windows. Behind each window was a cage or tank holding something terrible. The princess saw creatures with too many teeth, things that moved like liquid shadow, and beasts covered in spikes that dripped poison. "This is a void stalker," Dr. Kethara said, pointing to what looked like empty space behind one window. "They can step between dimensions. Very hard to catch, harder to kill." The princess stared at the empty cage. Then she saw it, a slight movement, like heat waves rising from hot ground. The creature was there, but not quite there at the same time. "Impressive," she said. "What else do you have?" They continued the tour. Dr. Kethara showed her creatures that could melt through starship armor, beasts that could survive in the cold of space, and things that made the princess's guards step back in fear. Each cage had warning signs in 12 different languages. All of them said the same thing: extreme danger. Do not approach. "Who maintains these cages?" the princess asked. "Who feeds these monsters?" "We have a team of specialists," Dr. Kethara said. "Some are crystalline scholars from the university worlds. Others are Thrakani warriors, veterans of the Clone Wars. All are experts in handling dangerous life forms." As they walked, the princess noticed a human cleaning equipment in one corner. He was young, maybe 30 Earth years old, with brown hair and quiet eyes. He wore simple work clothes and moved without making noise. When the tour group passed, he stepped aside and bowed his head politely. "Who is that?" Dr. Kethara glanced over. "Oh, that is Marcus Chen. He is a junior research apprentice. Nothing important, Your Highness. He does basic maintenance work." The princess looked at the human again. Marcus was wiping down a control panel with careful movements. His hands were steady, and he showed no fear despite being surrounded by the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Most beings would be nervous just being in this place, but he seemed calm. "A human," the princess said. "Interesting. I have heard they come from a dangerous world." "Earth is classified as a death world, yes," said Dr. Kethara. "But this one is harmless. He mostly cleans things and runs simple tests. The real work is done by trained scientists." They moved on to see more creatures. The princess watched a razor-winged seraphim spread wings that could cut through diamond. She saw crystal devourers that ate metal like candy. Each creature was more terrible than the last, but her eyes kept going back to the human. Marcus moved through the station like he belonged there. When a loud roar came from one of the cages, everyone else jumped. Marcus did not even look up from his work. "How long has the human worked here?" the princess asked. "About 2 years," Dr. Kethara said. "He applied as a xenobiology student. We needed someone to do simple jobs, so we hired him. He is very quiet and does what he is told." The princess watched Marcus walk past a cage holding something called a bone crusher. The creature inside was the size of a small building and had killed 3 Thrakani warriors before being captured. It pressed against the glass as Marcus passed, but not in an aggressive way. It seemed curious. "Does he work alone with these creatures?" the princess asked. "Sometimes, Doctor," Kethara said with a laugh. "But only for basic care. Feeding, cleaning water systems, checking temperature controls. Nothing that requires real skill or training." The tour ended at the facility's command center. Through the big windows, the princess could see dozens of cages and tanks. Each one held something that could kill entire armies. The thought made her feel both excited and afraid. If her empire could control these creatures, they would be unstoppable. "We will stay for 3 days," the princess announced. "I want to see how you manage these beasts. Day by day." "Of course, Your Highness," Dr. Kethara said. "You will see that we run a very professional operation." As the princess was shown to her quarters, she passed Marcus again. He was checking readings on a computer screen. The data seemed to be about creature behavior patterns, not simple maintenance at all. But when he saw her looking, he quickly switched to a basic diagnostic program. The princess went to her room thinking about what she had seen. The station was impressive, and the creatures were exactly what the Empire needed. But something felt strange about the quiet human who moved so easily through this place of monsters. She decided she would watch him more carefully tomorrow. The princess woke to the sound of alarms. Red lights flashed in her room, and a computerized voice spoke in calm, measured tones. "Minor technical difficulties detected in containment level 3. All personnel please remain calm." The princess put on her robes and stepped into the hallway. Her guards were already waiting, weapons ready. They looked nervous, which made her nervous too. "What is happening?" she asked. "Unknown, Your Highness," Captain Vex said. His green skin had turned pale, which happened when his species felt fear. "The station's systems are experiencing some kind of malfunction." It is no. They walked toward the command center. Along the way, the princess saw technicians running back and forth, checking cables and pressing buttons on control panels. Everyone looked worried. Dr. Kethara met them at the command center entrance. All 4 of her arms were moving at once, checking different data tablets. "What kind of problems?" the princess asked. "Energy fluctuations in several containment systems," Dr. Kethara said. "The backup power should handle it, but some of the energy barriers are flickering." Through the big windows, the princess could see the creature cages. Some of the glowing barriers that kept the monsters inside were indeed flickering like candles in the wind. Inside the cages, the creatures were moving more than before. They seemed to sense that something was wrong. "Are we in danger?" the princess asked. No, Dr. Kethara said quickly. "These systems have triple redundancy. Even if the main barriers fail, there are backup systems and emergency protocols." But as she spoke, more alarms started ringing. The computer voice came on again. "Containment breach detected in Level 3, Section C. All security teams respond immediately." Captain Vex grabbed his communicator. "All units, form protective formation around the princess. Prepare for possible evacuation." The princess watched through the windows as security teams ran toward the lower levels. She could see muzzle flashes and hear the sound of energy weapons. But then, the lights in that section went out completely. "What creatures are kept in Section C?" the princess asked. Dr. Kethara's skin went from purple to almost white. The Void Stalkers, Your Highness." The princess felt ice in her stomach. Void Stalkers were legendary. They were creatures of living shadow that could step between dimensions. They had destroyed 3 entire star systems before anyone figured out how to capture them. No army had ever successfully fought them in open battle. "How many?" she asked. 5 adults, Dr. Kethara whispered. The security teams were falling back now. The princess could see them retreating through the corridors. firing behind them at enemies she could not see. Some of the guards were limping. Others did not come back at all. "We need to evacuate," Captain Vex said. "Now." "Wait," Dr. Kethara said. "Let me check with the research team. Maybe they can help." She pressed buttons on her communicator, calling different departments. Most did not answer. When someone did respond, their voices were full of panic. "The crystalline scholars have locked themselves in their lab," Dr. Kethara reported. "The Thrakani warriors are trying to form a battle line, but their weapons are not working well against creatures that can become invisible." More alarms started ringing. Now containment breaches were happening in other sections too. The princess watched in horror as energy barriers failed one after another. Creatures that could destroy planets were breaking free from their cages. "Where is your evacuation plan?" Captain Vex demanded. Dr. Kethara was pressing buttons frantically. "The emergency shuttles are in the main hangar, but we would have to go through 3 levels of the station to reach them. And the Void Stalkers are between us and that route." The princess looked around the command center. About 20 people were there. Scientists, guards, and technicians. All of them looked terrified. Some were crying. Others were checking their weapons, even though everyone knew conventional weapons would not work against Void Stalkers. "What about the human?" the princess asked suddenly. "Where is Marcus Chen?" Dr. Kethara looked confused. "The apprentice? I do not know. He was doing maintenance rounds this morning. But," she checked her computer. "His location beacon shows he was in Level 2, Section F, when the alarm started. But that signal went dark 15 minutes ago." "Is he dead?" the princess asked. "Probably," Dr. Kethara said sadly. "Level 2 is where most of the breaches are happening. If he was caught there when the creatures got loose." The princess felt something strange. She had only met the human yesterday, had barely spoken to him, but the thought of his death bothered her. He had seemed so calm, so unafraid. It seemed wrong that someone like that would die in fear and panic. Captain Vex was studying a map of the station. "If we move fast, we can reach the emergency shuttle bay through the maintenance tunnels. We would avoid the main corridors where the creatures are hunting." "Do it," the princess said. They gathered emergency supplies and weapons. The princess took one last look through the windows at the chaos below. Emergency lights flashed red in the darkness. Smoke poured from several sections. And somewhere in that nightmare, creatures that could end civilizations were walking free. "Wait," said a technician at one of the monitoring stations. "I am reading something strange." "What?" Dr. Kethara asked. "The creatures. They are not spreading randomly anymore. They seem to be moving toward something, like they are being drawn to a specific location." The princess looked at the tracking display. The technician was right. Instead of scattering through the station like she expected, the escaped creatures were all moving in the same direction. Toward Level 2, Section F. Toward the last place anyone had seen Marcus Chen. The princess stared at the monitoring screen. Every escaped creature was moving toward the same place. Level 2, Section F. The place where Marcus Chen had last been seen. "That makes no sense, Doctor," Kethara said, studying the readings. "Void Stalkers are not pack hunters. They do not coordinate with other species. They should be killing everything they find, not gathering together." Captain Vex checked his weapon. "Maybe they are feeding. Maybe they found something they all want to eat." The princess felt sick at the thought. She imagined the quiet human being torn apart by creatures from nightmares. But something felt wrong about that idea. Marcus had not seemed like someone who would die easily. "Look at this," said the technician. "The creatures are not moving fast anymore. They are walking, like they are not hunting." On the screen, heat signatures showed where the escaped monsters were. The void stalkers appeared as cold spots that moved through walls. Razor-winged seraphim showed as bright dots with body temperatures hot enough to melt steel. Crystal devourers left trails of energy as they absorbed metal from the station walls. All of them were moving slowly toward the same location. "We need to leave," Captain Vex said. "Whatever is happening there, we do not want to be part of it." "Wait," the princess said. She had an idea that seemed crazy, but she could not shake it. "Can we see what is happening in that section?" Dr. Kethara checked her controls. Most cameras were destroyed when the creatures broke free. But there might be one backup camera still working. She pressed several buttons. Static filled one of the screens, then cleared to show a grainy image of a corridor in level 2. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. Pieces of broken containment equipment were scattered everywhere. And there, walking calmly down the middle of the corridor, was Marcus Chen. He was not running. He was not hiding. He was walking at normal speed, like he was going to lunch. His work clothes were not even torn. "That is impossible," Dr. Kethara whispered. Behind Marcus, following him like pets, were the 5 void stalkers. The creatures that could phase between dimensions were simply walking along, keeping pace with the human. Sometimes, one would move ahead, then slow down to match his speed again. "The camera must be broken," Captain Vex said. "Those things would have killed him instantly." But the princess watched as more creatures joined the strange parade. A razor-winged seraphim landed on Marcus's shoulder. Its talons, sharp enough to cut through spaceship armor, rested gently on his work shirt without tearing it. A crystal devourer the size of a small car followed behind, moving carefully to avoid stepping on him. "Change cameras," the princess ordered. "I want to see more." Dr. Kethara switched views. Now they could see Marcus from the front. His face was calm, almost bored. He was not controlling the creatures with any device they could see. He was not using psychic powers or alien technology. He was just walking, and the most dangerous predators in the galaxy were following him like loyal dogs. "How is this possible?" Dr. Kethara asked. More creatures joined the group. A pack of bone crushers that could bite through tank armor walked beside Marcus like they were out for a pleasant stroll. Acid spitters that could dissolve flesh in seconds kept their deadly saliva in their mouths. Even a baby planetary render, a creature that could crack planet cores when fully grown, rolled along beside them like a playful pet. "Where is he going?" the princess asked. They tracked Marcus's route through the station. He was not moving randomly. He seemed to know exactly where he was going, taking turns without looking at any signs or maps. "He is heading for the main containment level," Dr. Kethara realized, "where we keep the worst specimens." The princess felt her blood turn cold. "What is in main containment?" Dr. Kethara's forearms shook as she checked her files. "The planetary render adult, the one we captured after it destroyed the Kepler system. It has been in stasis since we brought it here." "Is it still contained?" Dr. Kethara checked her readings. "Yes, but the power fluctuations are affecting that level too. If the stasis field fails..." She did not need to finish. Everyone knew what would happen. A fully grown planetary render could crack a planet in half. In the enclosed space of a research station, it would kill everyone in minutes. "We have to stop him," Captain Vex said. "How do you suggest we stop someone who is walking around with 5 void stalkers?" the princess asked. Captain Vex had no answer for that. They watched Marcus continue his journey through the station. More creatures kept joining his group. Every monster that had escaped containment seemed drawn to him. They followed without fighting each other, which should have been impossible. Most of these species would attack each other on sight. "Change camera again," the princess said. "I want to see his face clearly." The new view showed Marcus from closer range. The princess studied his expression carefully. He was not afraid. He was not excited, or angry, or confused. He looked like someone doing a normal job that he had done many times before. "He has done this before," the princess said suddenly. "What do you mean?" Dr. Kethara asked. "Look at him. He is not surprised by any of this. He knows exactly what he is doing." Dr. Kethara shook her head. "That is impossible. He is just a maintenance worker. He has no training with dangerous creatures." But the princess was remembering things from yesterday's tour. The way Marcus had moved through the station without fear. How he had switched computer screens when she looked at him. The fact that the creatures had seemed calm around him even when they were properly contained. "What if he is not what you think he is?" the princess asked. Before Dr. Kethara could answer, new alarms started ringing. The computer voice came on again. "Warning. Stasis field failure detected in main containment. All personnel evacuate immediately." On the screens, they could see Marcus and his collection of monsters arriving at the main containment level. Behind massive barriers that were flickering and failing, something huge was beginning to move. The planetary render was waking up. "Dr. Kethara," the princess said slowly, "I want you to tell me the truth about Marcus Chen." The alien scientist's forearms trembled as she watched the screens. Marcus was standing in front of the main containment chamber, looking up at the massive barriers that held the planetary render. The other creatures arranged themselves around him in a loose circle, all facing the same direction. "I told you the truth," Dr. Kethara said. "He is a research apprentice who does maintenance work." "No." The princess pointed at the screen. "Maintenance workers do not walk calmly through station-wide containment breaches. They do not have void stalkers following them like pets. Tell me what he really is." Dr. Kethara looked around the command center. Everyone was staring at her. Captain Vex had his hand on his weapon, though they all knew it would be useless if Marcus decided to send his collection of monsters after them. Dr. Kethara started, then stopped. She pressed several buttons on her control panel. "I need to access classified files." "Do it," the princess ordered. Dr. Kethara's fingers flew over her controls. New information appeared on the screens. The princess read Marcus's real file, and her eyes grew wide. Marcus Chen was not from any normal part of Earth. He was from a place called Australia. According to the file, Australia was a continent where almost everything was designed to kill humans. The oceans were full of creatures whose stings could stop a heart in minutes. The land had snakes that could kill with one bite and spiders that could eat birds. Even the plants were covered in thorns that injected poison. "He grew up with this," the princess said, reading the list of Australian wildlife. "Box, jellyfish, saltwater crocodiles, funnel-web spiders, blue-ringed octopus. Every human from Australia learns to identify deadly creatures before they can walk properly," Dr. Kethara said quietly. "They have to, or they die. Marcus can look at something and instantly know how dangerous it is, how it hunts, how it thinks." The princess kept reading. Marcus had degrees in xenobiology and predator behavior. He had worked with dangerous animals on 6 different worlds before coming to the research station. He was not an apprentice at all. "Why did you lie to me?" the princess asked. "Because that is what he wanted," Dr. Kethara said. "Marcus requested that we list him as a low-level employee. He said it would make his job easier if people did not know his real qualifications." "What is his real job?" Dr. Kethara hesitated, then pressed more buttons. New files appeared, marked with the highest security classifications. "Marcus Chen is our creature management specialist," she said. "When we capture dangerous predators from across the galaxy, we bring them here. Most species try to study them from a distance, using robots and barriers. But Marcus, he goes into their cages. He learns how they think, how they behave. He figures out what they need to stay calm." The princess stared at the screen, showing Marcus standing calmly while surrounded by galactic apex predators. "He talks to them. Ender Dell. In a way, yes. Not with words, but with body language, with behavior. Predators communicate through dominance, territory, respect. Marcus understands this language better than anyone, because he learned it on Earth. Not just Earth, Dr. Kethara said. Earth's Australia. The place where humans had to become ultimate predators just to survive childhood. On the screen, the planetary render's containment field failed completely. The massive creature began to move, and the princess felt the entire station shake. This was a being that could destroy worlds. Its claws were harder than diamond. Its hide could deflect starship weapons. When it was captured, it had taken the combined fleets of 12 systems to bring it down. Marcus walked toward it. The other creatures moved aside to give him room. The Void Stalkers, beings that feared nothing in normal space, stepped back respectfully. The razor-winged seraphim took flight and perched on nearby walls. Even the crystal devourers, which were always hungry, stopped moving. The planetary render emerged from its containment chamber. It was 3 stories tall, covered in armor that gleamed like black metal. Its eyes glowed red with the heat of planetary cores. When it breathed, the air around it shimmered with temperature waves. This creature had killed billions of beings. It had turned 17 worlds into broken rocks floating in space. Looking at it was like looking at the end of everything. Marcus stood in front of it and did not move. The princess held her breath. Captain Vex grabbed her arm, ready to pull her toward the evacuation route. Dr. Kethara covered her eyes with 2 of her hands. The planetary render looked down at Marcus. Its massive head tilted to one side, studying the small human. The princess could see its muscles tense, preparing to strike. Then something impossible happened. The planetary render stepped to one side. It did not attack. It did not roar or threaten. It simply moved aside, like it was getting out of Marcus's way. Not because it was afraid, but because it recognized something in the human that made it choose not to fight. What just happened? Captain Vex whispered. Dr. Kethara was staring at the screen with all 4 eyes wide. I think it respected him. Respected him? Predators do not usually fight other apex predators unless they have to, Dr. Kethara explained. The risk is too high. They only fight when territory or food is at stake. But Marcus is not challenging it for territory. He is not trying to take its food. He is just present. And it recognizes him as another apex predator. The princess watched Marcus turn and begin walking back the way he had come. All the escaped creatures fell in behind him again, including the planetary render. The world destroyer followed the human like an obedient student. He is taking them back to their containment areas, the princess realized. Yes, Dr. Kethara said. That is what he does. When creatures get agitated or try to escape, Marcus goes to them. He calms them down and leads them home. And you let me believe he was just a maintenance worker. Dr. Kethara looked embarrassed. We thought it would be better if you did not know. Humans make some species nervous. If you knew that our most important staff member was from the galaxy's most dangerous world. The princess understood. Her own empire had fought wars with human colonies. Everyone knew that humans were trouble. But now she was seeing why. It was not because humans were violent or cruel. It was because they were apex predators who had learned to hide in plain sight. 2 hours later, all creatures were back in their containment areas. The station's emergency systems had been repaired, and the red alarm lights had stopped flashing. Everything looked normal again, except for the scorch marks on the walls and the smell of fear that still hung in the air. The princess found Marcus in the same place she had first seen him, quietly cleaning equipment in a corner of the research lab. He looked up when she approached and gave a polite nod. Your Highness, he said, in the same soft voice as before. I hope you were not too frightened by the technical difficulties. The princess stared at him. This was the man who had just walked through a station full of escaped apex predators like he was taking an evening stroll. Who had made creatures that could destroy planets, step aside, with nothing but his presence. And he was calling it technical difficulties. Dr. Kethara told me the truth about you, the princess said. Marcus continued, wiping down a diagnostic scanner. Did she? That is unfortunate. I prefer to keep things simple. Why did you lie about what you do here? Marcus set down his cleaning cloth and looked at her directly. For the first time, the princess saw something in his eyes that made her step back. Not cruelty or anger, but a kind of calm awareness that reminded her of looking into deep water. She realized she was seeing the real Marcus Chen, not the quiet apprentice he pretended to be. Because, Your Highness, when people know what I really am, they start acting differently, Marcus said. They become nervous. They ask me to do things I would rather not do. They want me to turn creatures into weapons instead of helping them live peacefully. And what are you, really? Marcus smiled, and it was not a threatening expression. It was the smile of someone who found the universe mildly amusing. I am just a man from Australia, Your Highness. Nothing more. Australia, the princess repeated. Dr. Kethara showed me the files about your home continent. The creatures there are beautiful, Marcus said simply. Have you ever seen a box jellyfish? Your Highness? They are completely transparent, like living glass. When they swim, they look like angels dancing in the water. Absolutely magnificent. The princess had read about box jellyfish in Marcus's file. Their stings could kill a full-grown Thrakani warrior in less than 60 seconds. But they are deadly. So are roses, if you grab them wrong. Marcus said. The point is not whether something can hurt you. The point is learning to appreciate what it is. Marcus picked up a tablet and showed her pictures from his personal files. The princess saw images of creatures that made the station's collection of monsters look harmless. Great white sharks with teeth like knives. Saltwater crocodiles that could bite through steel. These are from your neighborhood? The princess asked. My backyard, mostly, Marcus said. That big saltwater crocodile is named Bruce. He lives in the creek behind my parents' house. Very territorial, but he leaves you alone if you respect his space. The princess looked more closely at the pictures. In several of them, Marcus was standing near these creatures, not hiding from them, or fighting them, but simply sharing the same space, the way he had done with the station's escaped monsters. You grew up with them, she said. Everyone in Australia grows up with them, Marcus said. You learn early that the world is full of things that can kill you. But you also learn that most of them do not want to. They have their own lives to live. If you pay attention and show proper respect, you can coexist. Proper respect? Do not threaten their territory. Do not challenge them for food. Do not act like prey. But do not act like a rival either. Move calmly. Show that you belong in the same ecosystem. The princess thought about what she had witnessed. That is what you did today. You showed those creatures that you belonged. I showed them that I understood them, Marcus corrected. The Void Stalkers were confused because their environment had suddenly changed. The razor-winged seraphim were agitated because they could not find their nesting materials. The planetary render woke up, disoriented and hungry. They were not evil or malicious. They were just creatures being creatures. So you led them home. I gave them something familiar to follow while the technical teams fixed their habitats, Marcus said. Sometimes, that is all anyone needs. Someone who understands them, walking beside them, until things make sense again. The princess was quiet for a moment, thinking about everything she had learned. Your empire has been looking at this all wrong, has it not? How do you mean, Your Highness? We keep thinking about how to use these creatures as weapons, how to point them at our enemies and turn them loose. But that is not what makes them dangerous. Marcus nodded approvingly. What makes them dangerous is not their claws or their venom or their ability to crack planets. What makes them dangerous is that they are perfect at being what they are. They have evolved to fill their ecological niche so completely that nothing can compete with them. Like humans. Humans are not apex predators because we are stronger or faster or more venomous than everything else, Marcus said. We are apex predators because we learned to adapt to any environment, work with any ecosystem, and coexist with any other species when we choose to. The princess understood, including species that could destroy us, especially those species. The most dangerous thing you can do is underestimate something that could kill you. The wisest thing you can do is learn to live beside it, in peace. Marcus showed her one more picture on his tablet. It was taken in what looked like a peaceful lake surrounded by trees. The water was clear and blue, and flowers grew along the shoreline. It looked like paradise. This is Lake Ainsworth, near where I grew up, Marcus said. Beautiful place for swimming. It looks lovely, the princess said. It is. It is also home to several species of deadly jellyfish, water snakes that can kill with one bite, and saltwater crocodiles that occasionally wander in from the ocean. Most tourists never swim there twice. But you do. Every summer since I was 5 years old, Marcus said with genuine fondness. You just have to know what you are sharing the water with. The princess looked at Marcus one more time, seeing him clearly now. He was not hiding what he was. He had been showing her the whole time. She had simply been looking at him through the wrong lens. I will recommend to the Emperor that our military cooperation with this facility be expanded, she said. I hope that means more funding for better containment systems and creature comfort improvements, Marcus said. It means, the princess said, that we will be sending cultural ambassadors to Australia immediately. Marcus laughed, and it was the first completely unguarded sound she had heard from him. They will have a wonderful time, Your Highness. Just remember to pack good boots and learn to check your shoes before putting them on. The princess smiled back, finally understanding the joke.